Payday is supposed to feel like a win, but for a lot of people, it's the start of a cycle that never really moves them forward. The problem is that some of the things that we do on payday that feel totally normal and even responsible, sometimes they can actually hold us back. And one thing that could be quietly keeping you broke is paying everyone else before paying yourself. So you sit down, pay all of your bills first, and feel productive, which seems pretty normal, right? But where's your cut? If you never pay yourself first, that means that your saving is always coming last, and sometimes, depending on the month, it might not even happen. So what you're gonna do is flip it around and automate a transfer to savings as soon as you get paid, because you need to protect your future just as much as you cover your bills. But keep in mind too that random transfers just to feel productive can backfire. So make sure that your savings goal is not only consistent, but also realistic, or else you could end up putting money into your savings and then having to pull it right back out a week later. In which case it might start to feel like a failure or pointless when it's really just poor timing. You might also be immediately splurging because you deserve it. That post-paycheck high can hit hard, and suddenly dinner out and a small haul feel justified. But if your first move is to always spend, you're not rewarding yourself, you're undoing your progress. And just so that we're clear, treating yourself is not the problem here. The problem is when the treats are automatic and unplanned. So make sure that you're also building a fun money line into your budget before payday. And as a general rule of thumb, it's usually safe to set aside between 5% and 10% of your take-home pay for fun. So use discernment and determine what makes sense for your circumstances. Because if you have a ton of credit card debt that you're carrying from month to month, or maybe next to nothing in savings, ideally, you want to keep it to the lower end of that percentage. Another mistake is not splitting your paycheck into categories. So if your whole check stays lumped in one account, it might be harder to manage. And mentally trying to remember what's for bills, food, or fun money can be error prone. And if you're constantly dipping into money that you thought was for something else, that can be a red flag, because you might think that you have more money than you actually do, and then you end up coming up short when it's time to pay a bill. But on the other hand, using cash envelopes, a prepaid debit card, or bank sub-accounts, or even a simple spreadsheet can be an easy way to split your check by purpose. This type of clarity helps you spend with confidence instead of guessing and then hoping that everything works out. You might also be forgetting to budget for irregular expenses. So payday comes, bills get paid, and everything seems fine until your annual subscription, car maintenance, or your cousin's wedding pops up, and then suddenly you're scrambling. And these expenses aren't emergencies, but they can be poorly timed. And one thing that you can do is estimate how much you're likely to spend annually on irregular expenses, divide that number by 12, and then save that much each month. Because even setting aside $15 to $20 per check can add up and save you from swiping your card in a panic. Another mistake is not reviewing the previous pay period. So you move into the next check without ever considering what did and didn't work last time. But if you always feel that no matter what you do, you cannot get ahead, it's time to look backwards. The bottom line is that each payday should really include a mini money review where you take just 5 minutes to reflect before you repeat, because that quick pause can help you catch patterns, course correct, and make smarter decisions with the next check. Maybe you forgot about a subscription that came through. Maybe you overspent on takeout. Or maybe you're actually doing better than you thought and just haven't noticed because you never stopped to look. And the final mistake that you might be making is treating every paycheck the same. Not every paycheck is equal, especially if your income fluctuates. But too often, we treat every single paycheck like it's business as usual. However, if you earned less this time, then your spending habits need to reflect that, and that might include cutting back on extras. And on the flip side, if you earn more, that doesn't automatically mean it's playtime, especially if you overspent on your last paycheck. It's so important to build flexibility into your routine, and that starts with knowing your bare minimum budget, which is the version of your spending that covers essentials and keeps you afloat. Because once you know that number, it becomes so much easier to scale up or down as your income changes. Because at the end of the day, consistency doesn't only come from running on autopilot. It also comes from knowing how to adjust without spiraling. And once you're able to do this, you can keep making progress even when life or your paycheck isn't predictable.